Check this out. I'm going to tell you a cool story today about this watch. Now, some of you might recognize what this is. This is, for those of you that don't, it's a Rolex watch. It's a two-tone Submariner watch. It costs about $15,000 if you were to go buy one of these. I did not buy this watch, but the way that I came into possession of this watch is actually a pretty cool story, and I'm going to tell you the story in just a second. But first, I want to welcome you to Monday Morning Mindset. This is where we gather, you, me, transformational leaders, we gather to put on a mindset that helps us transform ordinary into extraordinary. Every Monday we do this. So I often get asked questions about transformational leader. One of the most common questions is, John, what can I do? What are some simple things I can do to grow as a transformational leader? And this watch has a transformational leadership story to it. And there are 4 things that I did that helped me come into possession of this watch. And I'm going to share what those 4 things are. But first, let me tell you the story of how I came into possession of the watch. When I was 24 years old, I got into an industry, a sales industry, where there was an annual award ceremony. Now, I started in November 10th, 1991, I start. The next month in December is the year-end award ceremony, and it's kind of the Academy Awards for that industry. Everybody dresses up and they go to this ball and there's fancy music and champagne flowing and everyone's having a good time. And then the owner of the company stands up and he declares the awards for the year. And one of the awards that he gives is a Rolex watch to the person that finishes first. Number one, the number one salesperson in the entire organization gets a Rolex watch. Now, I've only been there a couple of weeks and I watch this person get up and I am in awe. Oh my gosh, they're gonna get this award. And they go, I don't even know what the award is, I'm so new. And they get up and they get this watch and they come back and they sit down and they show it to me. It was my buddy. It was someone that I had become friends with in the first 2 weeks I'm working there. He says, look at this. And I'm like, oh my God, next year, I want to win that watch. And he said, great, you can do that. Just keep doing what you're doing. Keep learning, keep growing, keep doing the things you're doing. So I said, okay, great. So the new year starts and I'm on pace. January, February, March, I'm on pace. But by June, there's a shakeup in the management. And I'm in the number one spot to win the watch for the year. But typically in that industry, if you're the top person, when there's a management change, you get promoted. So sure enough, I get promoted to assistant manager 6 months in, and now I'm disqualified from winning the watch. That year goes by, someone else wins the watch. About 6 months after that, so now it's a year later, it's the following June, and now I get promoted to being the manager. And I'm running the whole department, and my opportunity to win a watch, to win the award of being declared the best, has come and gone. And my career moves on. About 2 years later, I become friends with someone who was really legendary in our industry. He worked at a competitive company, and he and I became close friends. And one day I happened to go visit him at his house, and we were looking for something, and he said, come in here. And he was looking in his closet for something, and we walked into his bedroom, and on the wall in his bedroom, he had this weird cardboard thing hung up with all of these pictures of different things on it. A boat, a speedboat, a sports car. He had a Rolex watch on this thing with pictures. And I said, what is this? And he goes, this is a vision board. And he described to me what a vision board is. Do you know what a vision board is? I bet you've heard of a vision board. This was, of course, a long time ago. And I said, oh, I see. These are your goals. He said, yeah, these are the things that I want in my life. And I looked at the watch and I said, you know, I really want one. I really wanted one of those, but my opportunity came and went. And he said, well, you could always, you're making enough money, you can go buy yourself a watch. And I said, yeah, it's not really that. I wanted to win one. I love the idea of it as an award for a job well done. And he said, well, why don't you go talk to your boss and ask him what would it take to be awarded a watch? And I said, I can't. I'm a manager now. Only the salespeople. And he goes, right there's your challenge. Look, you are more powerful than that. You can come up with an idea, and right there, we learned the first simple thing that we can all do to live into being more of a transformational leader. We remind ourselves that we are greater than any circumstance, situation, or condition. And I said, all right, I'll go ask. And I knew now the answer to the question, what would I love? And I created my own vision board. That becomes step 2. Step 2 is I created an image of what I would love to have, and I visualized and focused on it every day, every day, every day. So I had an image of what I would love to focus on. First step is I'm more powerful than any circumstance I'm facing when I'm connected to a source, and I have an answer to the question, what would I love? So I went in and I talked to my boss and I said, what would it take for me to demonstrate that I've added so much value as a leader that it would warrant an award like a Rolex watch? And he goes, well, here's what you'd have to do. And he gave me some benchmarks that I would have to hit. I'd have to exceed the budget by X percent, and I'd have to have these results. And so I put those on my vision board. And that brings me to the third thing that I began to focus on as a transformational leader, which was answering the question, how can I add value today? How can I add value today? That was the third thing that I did. In other words, what can I do to go the extra mile? What can I do? So I began to train my team with a passion that was a whole level above what I was doing. I began to go into work early, and I would be willing to stay late. I was adding value in a whole new way on a daily basis in service of my vision, knowing that I was greater than any circumstance, situation, or condition. Those three things were in place. And it wasn't very long till I started to run out of new ideas, and that brings me to the last or fourth simple thing that you can do to grow as a transformational leader, and that is I began to learn more. I began to read. Leaders are readers. Leaders are learners. And even to this day, 30 years later, I read between 12 and 15 books a year. I continue to lead by reading and learning. And that gave me more ways to add value. As I was learning and reading, I was adding more value. So getting mentorship, being in training, those are ways of learning, growing as a leader. And so sure enough, at the end of that year, my friend who showed me his vision board happened to be in the audience at the Academy Awards of our company when the owner of the company, with a big smile on his face, said, I want to announce a new award. We've got the Leader of the Year award, the very first time that we are giving this award away, and the recipient is none other than Mr. John Boggs. And I won this watch, and that means so much to me. And I show it to you and what it means, not to impress you, but to impress upon you that you can do these things too. You know this. Number one, you know that you're greater than any circumstance, situation, or condition. When you connect to a source that of all that is, you can do great things. Absolutely. Number two, create an image of what you would love and focus on it and visualize it every single day. And then thirdly, make sure that you're adding value. Where can you be a person of increase? Where can you add value to what's going on around you? That invokes the law of reciprocity. Good comes back when you do that. And then the fourth thing is continue to learn, read, and grow. You do those four simple things and you will grow as a transformational leader. So if you found this information valuable, share it with someone. Who do you know that would love this message today? Click the share button and send it to someone that you care about. And if you're new to the community, let me say welcome. I am glad you're here. Brave Thinking Institute's Business and Leadership Division supports your growth and your expansion and your abundance. And I'm happy to be here with you. So go ahead and click the follow, turn on notifications so that we can make sure that you get the next installment of Monday Morning Mindset. Until then, remember, think bravely and act boldly.